So before I get into the conversation about the feds banning milk, I wanted to tell you some stuff about what's going on here, and it all applies, so hang in there. This is all very important information because a lot of people seem to think that you can do these things, and you can't. So this morning we got 3 eggs so far. We'll get several more throughout the day, but as you can see, 3 brown eggs. We don't have any Americana eggs just yet because Americana eggs are bluer and green. I think you can see that this egg is a little bit smaller than the other eggs. This one comes from a chicken that we bred this year. We had a chicken that went broody this last spring. We gave her several eggs to lay on, and she finally got 2 to hatch. Those 2 now are old enough to lay their own eggs. Now, I don't know if both of them are laying or just one of them. We've only gotten 2 eggs so far, one the day before yesterday and one today. So we'll see if both of them are producing. Eventually, if they are, they'll eventually lay 2 eggs. And right now they're separated from the adults, so we'll definitely know if it's their eggs. Secondly, they're much smaller than the adults. As you know, we're carnivores, and all we eat is eggs and meat. Now, I say all, it's about 85% of our diet. Of course, we like tomatoes. Tomatoes are good to season our foods. I know there's people who disagree with that and think tomatoes are poisonous, but that's your opinion. I like tomatoes, so if they're poisonous, I'm fine, let them kill me. I cut the grass today. As you know, with gas prices being so high, I've been cutting it about every 3 weeks, so it always looks so pretty when I get it cut. So we eat all our eggs. We don't preserve our eggs. Hopefully next year we'll get some more so we can have them all the time. Really cut back on our meat eating and just eat eggs. Eggs are really good for you. We're hoping that we can like hard-boiled eggs, and if we get hungry or need a snack, we can just eat an egg. So we got some Brahmas, they'll produce during the winter. We got our Reds, they produce through the winter. We got the Americanas, they produce through the summer. And we'll probably butcher the Buff Orpingtons, the adult Buff Orpingtons this year. Then we'll have this mixed breed of hens that we just incubated. And I don't know how many hens we got, but however many hens we got, we'll keep. So hopefully we'll start getting in some serious egg production and not just having eggs for lunch, but we'll have them all the time. And then of course, all the roosters that we get, we'll butcher and pressure can. Plus we'll butcher the Buff Orpingtons, the adult Buff Orpingtons. I do want to say, tough old bird. You ever hear that, tough old bird? I've heard that phrase before. Well, I know why it's a tough old bird. When you butcher an older chicken, it's going to be very difficult to skin it. We skin our chickens. A lot of people defeather them, and it's not that hard. I think you put it in boiling water, not boiling water, that's incorrect. Hot water. I think it's 120 degrees. I don't know. You'd have to look it up. You can Google it. So you stick it in there just for a few seconds, and then the feathers just come right off. So that's a chicken that still has its skin on it. That's typically what you buy in the store. And it also increases the weight of the chicken so they can sell the chicken for a higher price. So let's say you buy the skinless chicken breast and it's $4 a pound. But then you buy a chicken and it has the skin on it. Well, the skin, I mean, you can eat it obviously, it provides flavor, but a lot of that's just thrown away. If you took the skin off, you lose a good pound of weight from the chicken. So it'd probably be about $4 a pound if you remove the skin. So when you butcher an older chicken, be aware you're probably going to have to defeather it. It is extremely difficult to get the skin off when it's older. So in the past, I've told you that some people have told me that I need to sell the eggs and or preserve them, but today I'm going to talk about selling them. Now, I've told you this story in the past, and I even got people sending me articles telling me I was wrong. I don't know how I'm wrong because it actually happened to me, so that just means that I guess you think I'm lying. It's the only thing I can think. But we were selling duck eggs and chicken eggs, and it started out innocently enough. A neighbor came over. It was my daughter's best friend's parents, so we knew them, but I mean, we weren't like friends or anything. I helped them clear out or flatten out a pad so they could pour a trailer pad. I had a tractor with a bucket on it, and I was able to help them out with it. So that's about the only thing I ever did. But they came over and got eggs all the time, and it was just friendly little gesture. Well, over time, of course, people were catching on that we had duck eggs and chicken eggs, and more and more people were coming over and buying them. I never once put out a for sale sign, never put out an ad, Never took the eggs off the property. I never personally took the eggs off the property. The FDA or the USDA came out and they were pretty polite. I mean, they didn't fine us or anything, give us any penalties, but they told us to stop selling eggs because it's illegal. Well, I didn't question it. Fine. I mean, what was the big deal to me? I mean, I didn't care. I wasn't wanting to sell them anyways. I was wanting to eat them. But friends of friends and different things, and you just want to be a polite neighbor. The older I get, the more I realize I don't care about being polite. I'm going to eat the eggs. I'm not going to let anybody know that we have eggs. And even if somebody wanted to come over and said, hey, can I buy some eggs? I'd say, nah, we don't have that many. Well, when I said that in a video before, a lot of people sent me an article saying that the state of Missouri allows you to sell farm fresh eggs from your property. Okay, great, but the federal government doesn't. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, state law trumps federal law. Okay, maybe so. But the federal law can get involved if your eggs make it across state lines. I don't know all the laws, and I'm not going to hire a lawyer to sell a dozen eggs at $2. I'm just not. It's not worth it to me. I'm going to keep my eggs. So what if, I don't know if this is possible, and again, I don't care. My eggs are sold to somebody, to a neighbor, and somebody comes down from Illinois, visits their family members, and family members says, hey, here's some farm fresh eggs, take them home with you. Well, then they get sick. They go back to Illinois, they eat the eggs, they get sick for some reason, and they trace it back to the eggs. Well, then the federal government gets involved, and then I'm in trouble for selling eggs across state lines. So when SHTF happens, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to start selling things. I'm going to sell milk, I'm going to sell eggs, I'm going to sell whatever, goat's milk. Okay, well, SHTF, I talk about this a lot. SHTF isn't just going to happen overnight. You know, the Great Depression or anything. It's going to happen over time. And while it's degrading, the system is degrading, there's still going to be law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement, because they're well paid. Federal law enforcement is going to be the last thing to collapse. All the while they're trying to control the American population. So you're out there selling your eggs or milk, the federal government comes out during SHTF and shuts you down, takes your chickens or takes your goats or cows or whatever, and fines you, and you're in even more trouble than you were. And so to me, it's just better to eat what you make. A lot of people say you need to preserve eggs. You can water glass them or something like that, I think it's what it's called. But again, there's risk of damage there. Why risk damage when you can just produce what you need? Eat what you make. It's not that I'm telling you not to sell your eggs. If you know for a fact your eggs are going to be staying in your state, and your state allows it like Missouri does, then there is no reason why you shouldn't sell them if you want to sell them. I'm just cautioning you that the federal government is out to get people. Getting back to the story when I was selling duck eggs, the way we handled it back then was we weren't selling them. We gave them to our daughter's friend. You know, daughter's friend would come over and play with my daughter, and we'd give her some eggs, say, hey, take these home to your mom. There was no money transfer, nothing, and everything was pretty safe. My guess is the USDA got involved because they suspected that eggs were being transported over to Illinois when we were doing it way back when. But again, I never questioned it and don't care. So from that point forward, I just told everybody we're not selling eggs anymore, sorry. And I explained the government got in the way. So if you want to risk that kind of liability, then that's up to you, but I'm just not going to. I don't trust people enough. I don't trust people enough to say, hey, don't take these across state lines. Hey, don't give these away. Because as soon as you do, they will. And if they get sick, they're going to come after you. And the federal government just doesn't want you doing anything off the system, off the grid. And to prove my point, back in February, there was this Amish guy. Now, there's a big story to this, but backstory. He was selling milk, raw milk, with non-pasteurized milk. It was non-pasteurized and non-labeled. Well, a few years ago, I guess in 2010, they told him to stop. Well, what he ended up doing was selling a membership. People buy into this membership, say, yeah, you know, we'll take your milk. So he started just giving milk away to this membership. I don't know, monthly dues or whatever. I don't know what the case is. Well, the federal government found out that there was a lot of his customers or something crossing state lines. This was in Pennsylvania. Well, they're going out of state, so this became a commerce clause situation. So they decided that they were going to come out with a warrant. So they got a judge to say that he was getting around the law that says you can't sell pasteurized milk, the federal law. So they came out and he read the warrant. He called his lawyer. Somehow, I guess his neighbor had a phone. He called the lawyer. The lawyer said, don't do anything. Just sit down and tell them they can do whatever they want. Well, the doors to his building were locked. So the woman asked for his keys. And he says, no, my lawyer told me to sit down, let you do whatever you want. And she says, well, here's what the warrant says. So he reads the warrant. And she reads it to him. He says, okay, where does it say I have to open the door for you? Well, it didn't. So it ended up, the camera got shut off. It was a neighbor's cell phone camera. He came running over with his camera when he heard about the agents being there. So this just again shows that the federal government is trying to shut down local productions, a way for people to make money without being in the system. And the reason they do this, it's not to try to protect you. There's nothing wrong with non-pasteurized milk. I mean, yeah, it could make you sick, but the risk is very small. The milk industry, the people who pasteurize the milk and all that stuff, have paid off politicians to write laws. You would think, well, what's the big deal? You know, who cares? The person who's drinking the milk knew they were buying raw milk. They probably wanted to buy raw milk. Who cares? But this is the control the federal government gets. They don't want their donors, the politicians don't want their donors getting upset. The pasteurized milk industry wants you to buy all your milk needs from them. And this is why I always say that capitalism isn't the problem. It's this crony capitalism. They're paying off the politicians to make laws that smaller companies, smaller businesses can't get their foot in the door. I mean, it's an Amish person. It's not like he can pasteurize the milk. He doesn't have electric. So he's automatically forced out of business by big companies, by the government. So I just caution you that the feds are going to shut you down if you try to sell your eggs. So just do the eggs yourself. Don't think, oh, I'll sell them. Think, no, I need to eat them. So if you'll click that super thanks button down there, I really appreciate it. So if I can inspire you to eat what you make so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.